All right, before we get to Joey and Collectible Classics, definitely stay around for that one because Joey's one of the biggest sellers on Bring a Trailer under Collectible Classics. I'm looking at Bring a Trailer right now, 19 auctions live, but they have over 2,300 past listings. So Joey is a mega player when it comes to selling cars. And you'll learn more about his business and tech stacking and what he's doing to revolutionize the used car business. Very, very interesting. But before we get to that, did want to give you a book update. The book's pretty big, exactly 400 pages, which is really, really cool. I will have it in hand in approximately 3 weeks. You will see that on the podcast here on YouTube. And my first launch event is at America's Packard Museum on April the 24th during their Spring Fling event. Now, my Pontiac GTO, which is featured in the book as well, is currently at America's Packard Museum, and they posted this incredible picture of it the other day. Now, why is it at the Packard Museum? Well, there is a connection with John DeLorean with Packard in the 1950s, and then he moved on to Pontiac, obviously, created the GTO, and then obviously his iconic DeLorean. So if you would like to go, there will be a link to the Spring Fling in this description. But beyond that, I have quite a few events coming up that I would love to see you at. The next one after that will be the Greenbrier Concours d'Elegance, May the 1st. I will be judging cars there, but I am on a panel on Saturday, and I will have books available as well. I think they're going to go pretty quick. I'm getting museums ordering 50 at a time, which is pretty cool. Then locally in Cincinnati on May the 16th, I will have an event at Motor Car Club that is on Facebook. If you would like to sign up, that is limited, so you would have to jump on that pretty early. And then beyond that, I will be at the Cincinnati Hangar Party for the Concours d'Elegance, as well as during the Concours d'Elegance. And then on June the 20th, I will be at the Auburn Cord Duesenberg Museum that morning, Saturday morning, for their Cars and Coffee event, doing a book launch there along with the signing. I'll be at the Ferrari National Meet in Monticello, New York, end of June. And then there'll be many more coming up. Hope to get out to the West Coast in conversations. I know I'll be at the Nethercut Collection, but not till September. Should be some other stuff popping up. So if you would like to get these alerts as far as where I'll be for the book event, please send me your email address, greg@thecollectorcarpodcast.com. I'll put you on the newsletter, which is pretty much every Monday, and there'll be plenty of links there to not only buy the book, but to find out where I will be. So as always, please support my sponsors. None of this could happen without them. And let's get on to Joey's interview. If you're a collector, you already understand stewardship, preserving what matters, planning ahead, and passing things on the right way. That's exactly how Peristyle Wealth approaches financial planning. As the Ferrari Club of America's official wealth management partner, they help avid collectors who value resilience and attention to detail. And the founder, John Suarez, is active in the community. I've judged one of his cars before, and I see him at events all over the country. To learn more, go to peristylewealth.com. Peristyle Wealth advisory services offered through New Edge Advisors, LLC, a registered investment advisor.
Every garage is a mirror of the mind that builds it. The garage becomes a quiet dialogue between who you are and what you craft. A garage is where work becomes meditation and solace, where mechanical truth becomes mental clarity. Some people go to offices, some go to mountains, others go to garages. At Metron Garage, we build for people who do all three. Give us a call to get started.
If you own a collector car, you already know it deserves more than a standard insurance policy. NCM Insurance specializes in agreed value coverage designed specifically for classic collector and enthusiast vehicles. From weekend drivers to serious collectors, they understand how these cars are used, stored, and protected. To learn more about protecting your collector car the right way, visit ncminsurance.com. Coverage built for the cars you care about. Every car in your garage tells a story, where it's been, how it's been maintained, and what makes it truly yours. Carport gives you a simple digital garage to document, organize, and manage your vehicles all in one place. Track service history, store important records, and keep your collection dialed in with confidence. From your daily driver to your dream car, Carport keeps everything in order so you're always ready for the road. And best of all, it's free to use and is 100% private. To learn more, go to carport.app. All right, welcome to another edition of the Collector Car Podcast. I'm really excited about this one because it's not often I have high-end dealers on the podcast, and today I do. So I'd like to welcome Joey Benjamini. How you doing, Joey?
Great. How are you doing?
Good, good. So I appreciate you being on the podcast. Now you run Collectible Classics out of the PA area. If you would, just give us an overview of your business. I know it's expanding before we get into some cool car topics.
Okay, absolutely. We're a high volume seller of classic sports cars. We source cars from all across the US using our tech stack that we built that's kind of custom to what we do. And we source cars from like Idaho, New Mexico, Nebraska, Montana, all the way to like Florida or New York or California, wherever we buy. And then we'll ship them into PA. We'll go through them, get them right, and then we'll sell them nationwide again. So we kind of have taken the dealership model, I guess, and completely shifted it. So coming into this, none of my team is like dealership background people, but we found a way to become the largest volume seller of classic sports cars in North America. We're doing like 200 units a month. So in terms of volume of stores, if you think about like an average rooftop for like a regular dealership, like they're selling anywhere from like 50 to 150 units per month, but those are like new car dealerships that are getting cars dropped off from boats from like
Right.
Japan or Germany. So we're doing double the work, which is like we source them and we sell them. So it's really 400 transactions to sell 200 cars because
Right.
on both sides we're dealing with the customers. So just using this tech stack, using infrastructure that we built enables us to do this high volume, rapid pace transaction of like collectors' cars. And then why I think it sticks in the current market is the following. Like you being a collector car guy and like knowing about cars, you're like, if you had a 96 911 Turbo and you brought it into your local Honda dealer or Toyota dealer, or even if you brought it into your Porsche dealer, they might not give you the money on that car or like appreciate what it is because what's their outlet. So we kind of fill the gap where like Carvana and all the other in-person dealerships like miss the value on those cars, and we can come in and like buy those cars and offer people like a clean, easy experience for selling those cars. And once customers work with us, they don't want to sell cars in any other way ever again. It just doesn't make sense. Uh,
Yeah. So speak to that. Like, what's your flagship store? And I know you're expanding. Like, what are your
so
locations?
so right now, so important for us is like warehouse space, and warehouse is super hot and across like not just the car industry, but any industry. So warehouse space is what we need, and we have two warehouses in PA right now. We have a 15,000 square foot warehouse, and then we just closed on a 100,000 square foot warehouse on a 10-acre lot. So capacity from these two locations is say 200 cars at the 15,000 square foot location and another like 500 cars at the 100,000 square foot location. So several hundred, we're getting close to like having 500 plus cars in inventory at some point in the near future. We've capped at like 250 right now just because we've been space constrained, but that's our location. And then we hope to expand to like all across the US using this model of like tech stack enabled private party sourcing and selling. And I guess we'll talk more about where I feel like the market's going in the future. But I think there's a massive space that's completely undercapitalized and like under accessed, and it will make space for collector car market to become much bigger and much broader and like enable people to really like dig into that market and like get access to the cars they want but haven't been able to find.
Now, explain tech. You said tech stack. Explain
Yeah,
that.
so our process, and I can't get into like the exact details because I'm not
Sure.
going to give like our
That's the
recipe
secret
away to the
sauce.
next
You don't
guy.
want to give up the
Yeah,
secret
that
sauce.
that's the piece that like enables it. But when I talk about tech stack, when you think about buying a car in, let's say, Nebraska and then selling it, how do you get from Nebraska to PA to sale, and what tech along that path enables that transaction to go quickly from, let's say, document to logistics to recon. So all of those pieces we've built from the ground up. And so since we've built those pieces that enable our team to operate efficiently, that's how we think about the tech stack and like collaborating tech and the business and making it into like a synergistic one piece experience for like our team. Does
It
that
kind
kind
of
of make
sounds like
sense?
you're the beginning stages of Amazon for books, and it just, you're figuring out all the logistics behind the scenes.
Logistics.
How can we make this
Yeah.
profitable and easy to use, right?
Yeah. So that's, yeah, I would say like thinking about the car space from that perspective as opposed to thinking about it from the old fashioned perspective, which is getting a car in, let's sell it for $1,000 margin, put back end finance warranty and like third-party service contracts on it. Like we don't do any of that stuff. So it's like making sure that the whole transaction's efficient, and that's where we see profits or like positive outcomes, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I'm looking on your website. You have all sorts of great stuff from McLarens to Maseratis to Corvette ZR1s to Porsches to BMWs to Mercedes to Lamborghinis to Ferrari. So all the stuff all of
I'm gonna
us are looking
give you
for, right?
I'll give you some crazy insight, which is our website is going to get a complete makeover in the next 30 days. So like our website isn't even live. We have like 150 cars listed. We probably have 300 cars in stock. None of it's accurate at this point because we're shifting to a, like, talk about Amazon, like you hit the nail on the head. Our website, and go check it in 30 days from now, you'll be able to buy a car from our website, check out on our website. Like no, like,
Whoa.
so like I don't know how no one's done this yet, which is crazy, which is like absolutely wild. Like I don't know how the new car dealerships are open and you can't buy a car online. It's pretty wild that like that's not done yet. So we'll have that done in 30 days, start to finish. So that will be pretty cool.
The only thing I can think of is, like we can talk about here in a minute, but like the online auctions, the eBay Motors, where you can buy a car.
But
But
not
yeah, from
actually,
what's that?
because you not actually because they connect you with the seller. Like let's say
Right.
buyer wants a car, seller has a car, you agree on a price. Sure, they've established that capacity, but what they haven't done is figure out how to do paperwork, figure out how to do payment, figure out how to do logistic and title and all that piece. They haven't done that yet. So our website in like 30 days from now is going to enable A to Z, like done. So you could, in theory, check out on our website.
That's cool. Yeah, it's interesting because I know I've been working with Somo, Sotheby's Motorsports, and that's the part that's kind of missing. And I think they're going to have a buy it now option at some point. I don't know how soon that will be, but yeah, you think about all the auction house bring a trailer, you think about
Yeah,
Haggerty Marketplace, you think about all those. They don't have that buy it
check out.
now,
Yeah,
right?
it's pretty wild. But listen, let's talk more about like the auction houses and those pieces, which is like there is a massive part of the business that's bring a trailer, Haggerty Marketplace, Broad Arrow, Amelia Island, Sotheby's are in it, like all the different auction houses, Gooding, right? Like we were at Amelia Island, so all those things. So like those are still going to play a massive part in the market, but at the same time, they still don't have that checkout. But I don't think they need to have that checkout because that's more about connecting buyers and sellers, I would say. So like
Right.
we're the largest
Right.
volume seller on Bring a Trailer. I've sold thousands of cars on Bring a Trailer. I've sold hundreds of cars on Cars and Bids, hundreds of cars on Haggerty, uh, hundreds of cars at all the other auction platforms. Uh, and I would say that like they're great, but they're not gonna, I don't think they need to do the checkout. I wouldn't tell them to do it because they still aren't the seller. Do you see what I'm saying? The only person who really wants to enable that is the person who's actually selling the car, not the auction house,
Right.
because the seller would
Right.
still have to get on board with it. Uh, but I guess that's my perspective on that. What about you? What do you think about auction houses in the future?
I think they're going down the right path. I think, I'll give Sotheby's Motorsport again as an example. That's an auction online arm of RM Sotheby's, very necessary, and they're doing a good job. They have a lot of dealer partnerships happening right now, and I think what's interesting is a dealership like such as yourself. You could have an auction tab. So I'm starting to see on some of these dealer websites, they don't want to deal with the auction aspect of it, but they create a partnership, whether it's Bring a Trailer or Somo or whatever, and
Mhm.
then they have an auction page, on their
Yeah,
website, which I think is a pretty cool idea. It gives dealers another avenue in which to sell cars, and some cars would sell better at auction than others, depending on what they are, as you know. Uh,
certainly.
how would you compare? Like, would you pick out, with experience with all these online platforms, which one have you enjoyed the process more? Which one do you have maybe some advice for? How
I
would you
would
compare
say
them?
I won't give advice because I've already given them advice and they know my takes on any advice I have for them and I don't want to throw them under the bus. So
Sure.
it's okay. I won't say any of my like takes on it. Definitely it's difficult to run an online auction platform. It's not an easy thing and there's so much competition in the space nowadays.
Yeah.
So much competition. Like everyone has an online platform at this point for auctions or is trying to have one at least. It's pretty difficult. And we've
It's
seen
very
like
difficult. Yes.
this year alone, like five new auction platforms pop up, but those are just the ones like that I see that are like big enough to get eyes on them. There's probably another 20 of them that I don't even know about that are still like trying to like run an online auction platform. So I don't. I don't have any ideas of making an online auction platform. I think that's a super hard business to be in. Uh, I would say that the people who were first to market have an advantage there, right? So like Bring a Trailer, Cars and Bids, Haggerty, RM Sotheby's, or any of those places that like have already been there in market, it's going to be easier to do. Uh, so that's one. But I guess more so my idea in like terms of online auctions, I think online auctions are an awesome product, but they're just a piece in the ecosystem of selling cars. So I would say there's a place for everything. And like people sometimes think in too drastic of measures, which is like only cars will be sold on online auctions now and there'll never be any other types of transactions. That's just not true because there's so many cars that shouldn't be sold on online auctions. Like, and you see it every week. Like if you go on Bring a Trailer and you look at what's selling, you'll see cars where you go like, that shouldn't have been listed here.
Yeah.
That was a mistake. And it might be because the seller's just not qualified to list it there, right? Like if you take 12 photos of your Porsche 911 Turbo 1987 slant nose with your iPhone and you put four pictures of the tire date codes and you have an 18 photo listing, like that's not selling. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Like you're leaving $200,000 on the table on a listing like that. So I think the auction online platforms are a great piece, but I think that they're going to shift, and you already see it, which is like they're shifting to sellers like 911R, WAP, Collectible Classics, Vantage Auto, 1600 Veloce, Michael Motorcars. Like they're very good for someone who can put a really thorough presentation together for a vehicle, and they're very bad for someone who can't put a on thorough presentation together for a vehicle. And that means photos, date codes on the tires, tread depth reading, underbody photos, walk around videos, cold start videos, driving videos, top operation videos, suspension operation video, interior photos, engine stamp photos, service records, build docs, receipts,
Yeah.
compression. Like if you can't make a full picture of that car, online platform will not serve you if you sell like that.
Yep.
So I guess that's my take there. But I would say like, so where does that fit in the whole ecosystem? I feel like online auctions are going to be great for cars that are commodities, if that makes sense. So
Absolutely.
if you think about like what's a car that's a commodity, that means Porsche 911s perform really well in online auctions because there's hundreds of them. And what happens with an online auction is you see value, they're going to revert to the mean, and you're going to have outliers, but it's all going to be super compact. And then I think other auction houses like Amelia Island that we were both at like 2 weekends ago, right? I think that's an awesome place for one-off cars
Mm.
where there's nothing else like it, and you have the people in the room and you have the right bidders, and you'll get that outstanding outcome because there'll never be another one like it, right? And sometimes that will fall through the cracks on an online platform. It just won't get the attention it needs to get. Versus if you have an auction like Amelia Island on a weekend and Broad Arrow, how they run it, like if you have a car and they like everyone's waiting for that CGT to sell, like the
Right.
blue
Yeah.
CGT to sell, like
Oh, that thing is
everyone's
crazy.
waiting for
Yeah.
months. Like it's a
Yeah.
months of anticipation. Like we're having this blue CGT, be there or you're missing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's
Or
also
like,
cars call it pre 1990, but I'm thinking more of the cars that need a restoration at some point, even the cars from the 50s and 60s. So many cars look good in pictures, even if they're not good. And if I had a guy that has a 69 Boss 429, I said, you do not want that on an online auction. You need to have people see that Concours restoration in person, and it's just,
yeah,
especially good
one-off
colors,
cars.
that kind of
One-off
stuff.
cars where you're never finding another one.
Right. Right.
So I think that's how the ecosystem should work. Like we have, I think RM Sotheby's, like Broad Arrow, and then like the lesser versions, which is like Mecum and like Barrett Jackson, let's say. I think those have a space. Probably Broad Arrow and like RM Sotheby's and Goodings more so than Mecum and Barrett Jackson, because I feel like Mecum and Barrett Jackson are just overpriced online auctions in
Right.
person,
Right.
right?
Oh, right.
They're just running BAT in person on a weekend.
Right.
Uh,
Right. Yeah.
so, but sometimes they're not, right? Like Mecum sold those that Ferrari collection, and
Yep.
that wasn't Bring a Trailer on a weekend.
No, no, that
Uh,
was a spectacular
it was one
collection.
off, and they
Yeah.
did really, really well. So the way I see the market, and most people don't see it this way yet, is that the in-person auction houses need to stick to really, really unique cars, and they'll get the results. And that's where those people should sell their cars. And then there's another subset, which is like commodity cars that should be presented really, really nicely and sell on online auction platforms. And then there's a subset, which is like people who don't have the capacity to list a car on an online auction platform should still stick to like Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, Auto Trader, Cars.com. Because if you can't put together a package in 7 days, let someone come see that car in person who's local. And you might get a little bit less money, but at the same time, you're going to get more than if you would have listed it with 18 photos on an online auction platform.
It's a really good point about putting the package together, and I think that's why I see the dealers doing so well on Bring a Trailer is because they got it down to a science, right? They knew,
Yeah.
for whatever car, I know for Lamborghini Countach, these are the 200 pictures I need to take. These are the stampies. I know where they are. You take someone who's owned the car for 30 years and they've barely used their cell phone, camera, and they're trying to do it. Just doesn't make sense at all, right? So, it's funny. I had a conversation this morning with a client, an interesting car. It's a 2017 C7 Corvette, nothing special, but he ordered it new, 300 miles, untouched, and it's a Grand Sport, and he ordered it like with spoiler delete. He ordered all the carbon fiber bits that are still in the unopened boxes,
Hmm.
and he asked for my opinion. Where would I sell that car now? Take your dealer hat off of you, because you probably say, "Well, I could sell it real quick here." But
Send it to me. I'll
yeah, yeah,
take
I was
it.
gonna say, send it you as your first option. But talking about the online platforms, it's not a rare car, but it's unique spec. It's black on black with chrome wheels, and all the carbon fiber bits are in boxes, never put on the car, no spoiler, rare spec, but it's a Grand Sport, not a Z06 or a ZR1.
Hmm.
Where would you sell that car? Online.
I definitely say online auction, right?
Which
Like,
one?
don't bring a trailer, probably Haggerty, probably. Uh, Honestly, Mannheim, those cars bring like all the money at Mannheim, which is crazy. But like American Muscle does really, really well on like wholesale to dealers because there's American muscle car dealers. Like think about like Ford and Chevy stores and the GMs of those stores. They always want that piece to put in their showroom. So
Yeah,
like those cars sometimes outperform on like Mannheim or OVE or ACV
interesting. Yeah,
even better than what they're going to do on like that's a crazy take, right?
yeah.
But actually I'm being 100% serious. Like give you an example. 18 ZL1 or 17 ZL1. I had it on BAT, ran it. It sold at Mannheim for like 15 grand more.
Oh my gosh.
So there are, or like Dodge Hellcats, like those
Yeah.
sell at Mannheim for 10 grand more than they sell on online auction platforms because those are cars that go to get financed, go to a retail dealership, and like that's what they're set up for, which is like selling those cars. And they like have the customers come in and then they make the money on the finance and they make the money on the warranty and the service, you know?
Yeah, I
Uh,
told him, I said, as an individual, on like normally I wouldn't say bring a trailer for an individual unless you have some type of guidance. But I said his car would make sense because the peanut gallery, especially Corvette guys, they want to take cars apart, show their
mhm.
expertise by tearing the car apart. Well, you're not
Yeah,
going to tear apart a brand new Grand Sport with
yeah,
300 miles. If anything, the peanut gallery will give you more visibility to the rarity of the spec, to the rarity of the carbon fiber pieces in the box. So I told him, I
agreed.
said, in this case, the peanut gallery might actually help you out because it's going to be calling out the really cool stuff that the average auction platform probably won't highlight, right?
Yeah, I agree. Definitely, definitely a good point there. I would say that that will add excitement. There'll definitely be a lot of guys who are like super hot on that car, probably not even interested in bidding, but just like, wow, that's so
That's
cool.
that's part of the problem too with bring trailer.
Uh, but yeah, so that's there. That's my take on like the car market, I guess,
Well,
and
tell me
like
about
the way it's
what
shifting.
yeah, what tell me about what you think is up and coming. I know you mentioned on the pre-call like AMGs, Mercedes. What do you see that's kind of, I don't want to say that's undervalued, but still it's not on everybody's radar right now.
Yeah, I would say like definitely anything with big motor V8s, like heavy, high horsepower, but like analog. I feel like that's very exciting for people because nowadays like cars are so electronically like neutered that you can't actually like get the
That's a
experience of
great
like
phrase, electronically neutered. I
I
love
was
that.
just like go into an R230 SL65 or a Dodge Viper GTS ACR or like uh Porsche 911 996 Turbo or like any of that kind of car. It's just such a different driving experience than those newer cars. Like you feel the mechanical aspect to it.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's going to be exciting for people in the next 5, 10 years, 15 years. When people think about like what's a cool collector car to own, I just A 911 Turbo S 2019 is a cool car, right? But
Right.
a 2000 or a 96 911 Turbo S is like a way cooler car.
Right.
Uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's like and there's a reason like they're selling for like $500,000 already. So like other cars that are close to that and you can make those similar comparisons are those will be cars that are like highly desirable in the years to come.
Yeah, like I want a 2012 911 Carrera S because it's or GTS, because it's
Yeah.
not the turbo, but it's
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
most naturally aspirated. It's the last of that generation, last of the smaller 911.
Hmm.
And I'd like to get one of those. Just, I don't
They're
want the
expensive
13.
already.
I know,
Yeah.
I don't want the 13 because that's the new of the next generation where there's some bugs and issues. I want the last of the last generation.
Hmm.
Yeah, so I agree with you. I think there's this I don't know if I would say you can say 1999 or 1996, whatever you said, but to me, the ultimate sweet spot is like '05 to 15, like that
I
last
agree.
10 years of the
Most
analog, right?
most of the cars we do are in that space. Like I'd say like our average year, like I can actually look real quick because I have all this data because we're super tech. But looking at like the average year of inventory that we have right now and
Yeah.
shift. Average year of all our units of 200 units, average year is 2006.33.
Oh, there you go.
So,
You're
so
speaking.
I, average year is '06. So like yeah, right in that spot, which is where we focus and which is undercapitalized by like retail car dealerships. Like if you look at the inventory we have, and let's say we have $10 million of inventory or whatever it is, if you booked it out to like wholesale, what's wholesale on a 91 ZR1 with 10,000 miles in steel blue?
Right. Yeah. Rare
What's
color.
wholesale like? Yeah, I paid 40 some grand for it. So like
Right.
it's not it's like wholesale's like $5,000. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
Uh or like what's like so these are all like undercapitalized cars by like the broader retail car platform and like not collectors.
You probably have my 2012 GTS on your site right now. I see an '08 turbo
I don't
911
I don't have
cab.
I don't have a GTS for you. I have a bunch of I don't have a GTS for you. I have a Carrera S, I have a '09 S, I have a '08 S, I have an '08 S cab, I have a '06 S cab.
Oh, you got all sorts of good stuff on there.
Yeah, whatever you want. The cabs are really cheap, by the way. The cabs
Oh
are like
yeah, that's
super,
because I
super
don't even
cheap.
want one.
Yeah.
How about
There's
SLS? What do you think of the SLS Mercedes? To me, that is
there
a car that will never go down.
what did one sell for at Amelia this last? Wasn't there one at Amelia that sold for a lot of money?
I don't remember. It might have been a Black Series. Those are still six hundred
It was a
thousand
Black
dollars.
Series, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, definitely cars that are going to be hot. Those have big, muscly V8s,
yeah,
lots of power, super analog, super like real car. You know what I mean? Before they like put 3-liter twin turbo electric motors in the back.
yeah. So I see you have a car in here, the 2007 Lexus SC, and that looks like that might be the Pebble
Pebble
Beach
Beach
edition.
edition.
Is it
I
really?
s-
Okay,
it's not. It's a
okay.
Pebble Beach color, but it's not a Pebble Beach edition. 12,000 miles. It's sold to a Lexus dealer
What
for
do you?
$50,000.
Yeah, see, those are not on anyone's radar. And I think I got a client that's got five of those, including the Pebble Beach edition, in his collection. And I'm like, man, I'd love to have that Pebble Beach one.
I just set the record for the highest sale ever on that car. That was the highest ever sold Lexus SC 430 in the last
Really?
decade. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
you can
Because
pull it up on BAT. Go on BAT, pull it up. I think it sold for 48K plus fees.
wow.
Uh,
Yeah.
so that's the highest ever sold. It's like 50 grand on an SC 430 with 12,000 miles.
Yeah. I
Uh,
think his has 30 on it, but it's the Pebble Beach one. So
I
that's
bought another one yesterday. I just bought a red one with 12,000 miles yesterday. I need I need the Lexus dealer in South Carolina Hilton Head to call me on that one. I paid 50 on this last one.
I bet he will. I bet he will. Well,
Uh,
cool, man. Well, yeah, like what other trends do you see out there that people need to keep an eye on? Because I know, Ferraris have blown up. I see you have some Ferraris, but it looks like you don't necessarily focus on Ferraris. Is that right?
no, yeah, we probably do more stuff in like the commodity market, right? So like when I'm talking
Mm.
about like what cars are commodities, I'm thinking like anything that's sold hundreds of them, and then we
Yeah.
just pick out the really, really nice ones. So those are easy cars to transact on where we can say like, here's market on it. We can pay slightly under market. We got to sell it for market, right? Uh, and those cars are super easy for us to transact on. Like I'd say like we've done 100 SL65s, or
Right.
like we've done dozens and dozens of like Range Rovers, Porsche Panameras, Porsche 911s. I've probably done 200 Porsche 996s, maybe 300 at this point.
Right.
I probably have 20 right now. Uh,
Yeah.
So those cars, and those are like commodities, which is like people know what they're worth and they're super easy to transact on. Stuff that we don't do as much is like stuff that's one off or stuff that's like super, super condition dependent, because then you have to be like in person and be careful.
Yeah, so that's interesting because like for Ferraris, you're exactly right. You know, those can sway $100,000 based on the option package, you know, and so you got to get to the granular level on some of those crazy cars. So now what
Yeah.
is that process? How do you find cars? Speaking of which, you
S-
know,
Good question. Uh, okay, how do we find cars? So one is like the simplest way, which is like scouring the internet for deals. I'm sure everyone's done that at home, so we're pretty good at that. We have a bunch of buyers who do that. But the other way we do it is through network. So we have a ton of clients that are like part of our network, and we'll say, hey, like, do you want to sell a car? And then customers will reach out to us from like an email or a text or a flyer or whatever it is, and they'll be like, yeah, I have 18 cars. My wife told me I have to sell eight.
all
Uh,
right,
and
right.
then we'll just buy like a package of people's cars. So like that's the best way we come across inventory, which is we can make it super clean and easy for someone with like a large collection or a bunch of assets that wants to move them and doesn't want to deal with the hassle of listing 15 cars for sale individually
Usually,
and
yeah,
spending the next like 6 months dealing with like online auction platforms.
right.
So we can make that super quick and like seamless, which is like we do 200 of those a month. So selling a car is something we do all day long, so it doesn't
You
slow
gotta
us down per se.
you gotta figure it out. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's that. And then definitely like the ways we're looking to expand are like breaking into other people's like client lists and saying like, hey, we have the ability to offer you same day payment, pickup from your doorstep, easy hassle-free transaction, and like no pressure to take our offer. But we're like the only people who are doing that at scale because of like our tech stack that I talked about. And like we can do 250 cars a month. No one else can touch 250 cars a month.
Right.
And like that's just
Right.
getting started. The objective's to be doing in the next like 48 months, 1,000 cars a month would be the objective.
Right.
So like that's where we're looking to go. And like we spent a lot of time getting the granular right, which is like how the process works A to Z.
Right.
And
Right.
once you build that out, it's just scale. It's just like taking your vertically integrated system and like adding pieces until you get to scale, which
Right.
is like
Yeah.
the pieces are staff, which we have like the best staff, uh, space, which is like warehouse, and then capital. So those are like your three constraining factors. And then you just add one of like you add in parallel to all those pieces, and then you get to like capacity that you want to be at.
Right. Yeah. No, that's great. Now, what's the best way for our folks to find you?
You can find us on Instagram, Collectible Classic Cars. You can find us on our website, collectibleclassics.com. If you want to sell a car, just click on our website, submit it. We'll take you 30 seconds and we'll get you an offer. Beyond that, you can find us all over the online auction platforms like Haggerty Marketplace, Bring a Trailer, Cars and Bids. We sell a ton of stuff there. And then I would say like take a look back in the next 30 days and check out our website and see if you can actually check out on our website.
That'd be
You guys
cool.
can like test me on that in 30 days. So check on April 30th if you can go on our website and buy a car in
Okay.
like without anyone helping you. Just
App
start to finish, close a transaction.
Apple Pay?
Crypto, crypto
Crypto.
works.
Okay.
Crypto wire, whatever you want, but we'll have it integrated by if it's not done April 30th, then like hit us up and tell us, hey, we're not doing a good job.
Okay. I can do that.
Yeah.
All right.
I think we'd be
I
first to market with that if we get it done.
Yeah, I do have something at the end here I did not give you a heads up about, but since you said on the pre-call you don't mind making it embarrassing yourself, I thought I'd do it anyways. You ready?
Go for it.
All right, it's a little segment I call Keep, Cash, and Crush. So I give you three cars. These are going to be three cars from your website, and you have to pick one to keep forever, one to cash in, and
Oh, this
one
is
to
gonna be easy. This
this
is gonna
one
be
to send
easy.
to the crusher. Oh, it's going to be easy.
Okay.
All
Yeah,
right.
I got this.
All right, so I'll give you three cars. I'll give you the black 2023 Maserati MC20.
Okay.
I'll give you the white 2019 Chevrolet Corvette ZR1 Coupe.
Okay.
And then I'll give you the, I don't know the proper name, but the orange
McLaren 570.
2019 McLaren 570S Spider.
Okay, easy. What were the three options?
The, the black Maserati MC20,
No, no, no.
The
What were the three options in terms of what I'm
oh,
doing
oh,
with
I'm
the
sorry.
car?
Keep, cash, or crush. So keep one, cash one, crush one.
Okay. Okay.
See, you're thinking about it. It's not that easy.
Okay. In terms of keep, I keep the McLaren 570S. I think
Okay.
those are super cool cars. I think all the McLarens are like wildly undervalued. I'm like super, super hot on all the McLarens. They're super, super cool cars and they do not have a good reputation. And I'm going to single-handedly change that. No, I'm joking. But I'm working on it. So keep the McLaren 570S. Those are a lot of performance, super comfortable to drive, wildly fast and fun cars to own. And they're actually affordable, which is crazy. Like you can buy a McLaren for the same price as a 911 Turbo.
How's the reliability?
They're pretty solid. They build the same car like just in 10 different formats. Like their underlying product between all their series and they build so starting their first cars they produced in like the last 50 years were in 2009, I want to say, or 2008. Like they made the MP412. 2011 was really when they came out, but they were building them in 08, 09, and like those were test cars. So 11 is the MP412C, and that was their supercar series. And since then, they've made four different series. They have their hypercars, which is like
Right.
the
P1.
McLaren, yeah,
Yeah.
McLaren P1. Uh,
So
they have their supercars, which is the MP412C. Then it was the 650S. Then it's the 750S, and then there's newer
765.
stuff,
Yeah.
765. So all their supercar series. Then they make their like sport car series, which is the 570S. And then they make their touring series, which is like the McLaren GT. Uh, but all those cars are all the same platform.
Hmm.
So they've had time to dial it in. Like it's the same engine, it's the same body, it's the same chassis. Like they're not building 30 different cars, if that makes sense. And they're not like
Sure.
making hybrid SUVs. So like, yes, they have service costs, but I would say that they're no different than the service costs on a 911 Turbo. Like I
Right.
don't think they're that crazy different than owning another $100,000 sports car or like a Mercedes SLS or a Mercedes AMG GT. Like I don't think they're worse in terms of service than those. It's unfortunate though because where they do lack is something that they can't even change, which is like aftermarket support.
Right.
I would say like so like Porsche has like endless enthusiast groups and like they have endless support and like aftermarket Porsche specialists, right? So you don't have to bring your car to Porsche. McLaren's growing in that direction. Like they're growing that you can go and like send your car to a private service shop and not go through the dealership network.
Right.
Okay, so I said keep the McLaren 570S. I said
Yeah. Which is cash and which is crush?
okay, I'm crushing the ZR1.
Oh no.
Just, just doesn't do it for me. I I just don't need it. Uh, and then I said cash the MC20. Yeah, I'll cash the MC20. We'll sell the Maserati MC20. That's a really, really cool car. The ZR1 is like Corvette's doing so good that there's so many of the cars. Do you know how many C8s they've made?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, this is
Like
the last
this
of
is a
the
C7. This is the
C7. This
last
is the
C7, and it's a ZT,
ZR1. I'm
and it's a
assuming it's an
ZTK.
automatic. Is it
It's an
automatic?
auto. It's an auto,
All right, you
and
can crush that
but
one
it's a
then.
ZTK. It's a performance package. It's like the track edition.
Okay. Well, I
I'm
think those
still gonna crush it.
Maserati, I think the MC20s are a little underappreciated.
Cool
Those things are
cars,
gorgeous.
cool cars, cool, cool, cool cars. Uh, very cool cars. I wish all the brands would just focus on making performance cars and forget about their crossover SUVs.
Well, yeah, true.
Right?
Well, Joey,
Uh,
I really enjoyed it. I appreciate your time on the Collector Car podcast, and I think we're going to do a tour of your new facility here in a
yeah, that
couple
will be cool.
months.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that will be exciting. That will be 30 days after the first set of 30 days.
Oh,
So
so I could
60
call
days
you out
out.
if I can't buy a car
60
online. I
days.
can call you out.
Yeah, yeah. And then after that, so by May 30th, we should be in the new facility. And then you should come tour and it will be pretty crazy.
All right, buddy. Well, thanks for
Okay,
being on
thank
the
you,
Collector
Greg.
Car podcast. I appreciate it, man.
I appreciate it.